Hello! So I've decided to write my book all by hand, which I know sounds really crazy, but let me try and explain this to you, right? First of all, I'm not going to write the whole thing by hand, as in I'm only going to write the first draft by hand. And the reason for this is I have been, let me explain to you my journey with writing, I guess. I've been writing for as long as I can remember. I've been writing little short stories when I was really young in just my little journals and everything like that. I used to write Westlife fan fiction back when I was like 7 or 8. If you don't know what Westlife is, it used to be a really popular British boy band in the same vein as like Backstreet Boys and like NSYNC and everything like that, but Westlife was a lot more popular in Asia because I was born in Australia, but I did spend a couple of years in Indonesia, where my parents are from. So yeah, so they were big there, and I used to write little short stories. And then in primary school, my friends and I would do this thing where we would write a story and then pass it over to our friend, and then our friend would continue the story, and then we go back and forth, and then at the end of it we would read the whole story with both of our writing in it. So that was really fun. I really liked doing that. And then in high school, I'm pretty sure we also did that as well. So I've been writing my stories by hand for a really long time. It wasn't until university where I started to write a lot more on the computer. I would write my essays on the computer. I took creative writing classes, and I would do my short stories and my scripts and everything like that on the computer. All my journalism sort of pieces that I had to write, I did everything on the computer because it was just a lot more you know, easier and a lot quicker, I guess, to get that stuff done. Then I discovered NaNoWriMo from YouTube when I started BookTube, and when I started making BookTube videos back in 2014, 2015, I found out that a lot of people were doing this thing every year called NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, where you have to write 50,000 words in a whole month. And a lot of the videos that I saw of people doing that were people typing their story out and, you know, going about it that way. Well, I have attempted NaNoWriMo for a couple of years. I've only ever completed it back in 2018. And when I completed it, it was a very rough draft. I don't think I even really outlined it. And when I wanted to go back and outline after, you know, doing the draft, I found that I struggled with reading it back and having the motivation to do that, because I couldn't really remember my story because I wrote everything down on the computer. And that's something that's like a big thing for me. I think I've noticed that I remember things more if I write it down by hand. And so I was thinking that whenever I start a new writing project, I would have this burst of energy, and then I would type everything out, and then the next day I would go back to it and I won't remember what I've written. And so that means that I would have to go back and reread what I've written the previous day, and then that would distract me from writing, and it would make me want to edit what I've written the previous day, and then I wouldn't have the motivation to continue writing because I would feel kind of like I would overanalyze what I've written, and you're not supposed to overanalyze what you've written in the first draft. That's not what the first draft is for. Like, I've been reading Stephen King's memoir / writing manual, and he says that your first draft is you telling the story to yourself. So you shouldn't be over analyzing it, because you should just be getting everything down on paper. And I think that for me, writing it by hand might be the best option. Not only because of the memory thing, but it's also because of the over analyzing thing. And also, I just, coming from someone who has been journaling for a really, really long time, I feel freer when I'm writing by hand. I feel like I can write anything I want when I am, you know, writing it on pen and paper, as opposed to writing it on the computer. On the computer, I feel like I need to be a little bit more polished. I need to be a little bit more careful with what I say, even though I'm just writing on a Word doc, and I'm like, no one's gonna see it anyway, but in my head, because it's digital, it feels more permanent to me, which makes no sense, because actually writing it down on pen and paper is more permanent than digitally, because digitally you can just delete it, whereas on pen and paper you kind of have to like scribble it out, especially when you're writing with pen, right? So yeah, those are kind of the main reasons. The other reason why I've decided to do this is more to do with my eyes. So I have been struggling with my computer for I think for about a year now. I don't know what's changed, but the screen is just too bright, and because I have a Mac, I don't know how to change the contrast and change the layout of it, because I prefer a darker background and lighter text, so like a black background and a white text, as opposed to a white background and black text. It's just easier on my eyes. And that's what I did when I worked. When I was working, they fixed my computer, and they kind of reversed the format and everything. I can't remember what it's called, but they did that for me, and I haven't been able to do that with my Mac. And also my Mac is a little bit too small for me now. I think it's just harder for me to read things on the computer now, and I think that's kind of the other reason why I've been, you know, not as motivated to write on the computer, because it's just a lot more work for my eyes, and it's just not worth the hassle, you know. I think the other reason why I want to write by hand is so that I can write wherever I want. I don't like sitting in one spot when I'm writing. I like to be outside a lot of the times when I'm writing. That's, you know, when I am the least distracted, I guess. Which, you know, another thing is like a notebook can't distract you, because you know, not like a laptop can. Because I find that when I'm writing on the computer, I will get to a point where I'm like, oh, I don't know what to write next, let me think for a second. And as I'm thinking, I'm like, I might watch that video while I'm thinking, and then the momentum of writing is gone. So I find that I think I'm gonna be able to write a lot more and be less distracted on my little notebook here, because I did start writing. I have been writing for the past couple of days, and I've just been sitting outside, and I kid you not, I sat outside for about 2.5 hours, I want to say, just writing. And I haven't done that in so long, because I would get so distracted with just sitting on my desk with my laptop. And you know, when I'm thinking, because, and I noticed this about myself when I was outside, when I was trying to think of what to write, because I'm in the plotting stage of my story, when I was thinking, I couldn't do any, like I didn't do anything. I just sat there and I thought about my story, and that's what I want. I want to just be thinking about my story all the time. So that's kind of my plan at the moment. I don't want to say too much about what my idea is. but it is something that is a little bit more personal. It's something that I've been wanting to write but have been a bit scared to write for the longest time, because I didn't know how to go about writing it, because I have a lot of feelings on it and they're not so happy feelings. So it's not a happy topic that I'm trying to write about, and I think that's why I've been a little bit too scared to write about it. So yeah, that's kind of my plan at the moment. Like I said, I'm still in the plotting stage, so I'm not completely outlining. I don't think. We'll see. I don't know how I'll go. I've never been the best at outlining before I write, but I am kind of working out the kinks of the story. So I'm working out the theme, I'm working out the main character and like their desire and their fear and their motivation and things like that. So here's my plan on writing this first draft. I'm going to use this notebook, which I got for my birthday last year from my friend, to outline and plot, and this is where I'm gonna be doing a lot of the planning aspect of my story. And then I have these 3 notebooks that my sister got me, which actually was sort of the aha moment of me wanting to write by hand, because she gave me these 3 notebooks and they were so simple and so thin, and I could bring them everywhere, and I'm going to use those notebooks to write the actual story. Yeah, that is kind of my plan for the moment. Like I said, I'm not going to share too much on my idea just yet, just because it is still very new and very fresh, but I am going to be doing a lot more writing videos moving forward. So if you're interested to come on this writing journey with me, please stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, I hope you're having a great day, and cheers.